Welcome to another episode of my awesome podcast.
So I kind of want to talk today about, we're going to get into social media a little bit later, but I also kind of wanted to talk about how the algorithm feeds things to you. That'll be kind of a theme for today. And I wanted to ask you, because I've seen you on your phone before, definitely listening or watching videos, and I can kind of hear things, but I don't see what you see.
Yeah.
And in my head, I'm wondering, are you seeing the same type of things that I'm seeing? Are you being fed the type of videos that I'm watching?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's my video. We had some videos on here where we had discussion afterwards. This is just going to be a short. Okay. You'll see. Here we go.
A lot of people think that the red color and the red juice in a medium rare steak is blood. And that's not true. I'm here to tell you the scientific term is you're being a bitch.
Nice.
Okay. Is this the kind of stuff that you see?
Yeah. I see things like that.
Okay. Because I saw this the other day, and all I can think of was, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
It just hit me just right, and I was like having a drink, and I was like, that's perfect.
Yeah. Nice.
Okay, so we're seeing similar things, but then again, we're friends. We have similar likes and dislikes, so it wouldn't be that unusual that similar things would be in our feed.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, so what do you have for a video?
Okay, so I have a news article. Actually, I guess real quick before I get into this,
Okay.
would you say that you're like a fan of pranks or jokes? I mean, I guess those could be two totally different things, but
True.
Yeah.
Yes and no. Here's where I'm coming from. I'm a fan of the Jackass franchise.
Yeah.
And I used to watch that all the time, the TV show, and then I've seen all the movies and things like that. Now, with that being said, a long time ago, I used to watch them on YouTube. And I used to think they were hilarious. But nowadays, I see them, and I just try to put myself in the position of the person being pranked.
Yeah.
And it makes me very angry.
Okay.
I think that better not ever happen to me.
Yeah.
Because I think at a minimum, for a lot of these, I would be calling the police.
Yeah.
If I didn't freak out
Yeah.
and do something else.
Yeah, I used to feel terrible for Bam Margera's mom because
I'm a big Bam fan, and I know exactly what you're talking about. Although I think some of that stuff was staged, but she definitely got the brunt of a lot of it. Yeah.
Well, I've seen, which I wonder, like, I'm sure that when Jackass came out, like some people may not know too much about it because it's been removed a little bit, like,
right.
From its inception. But I'm sure that was probably a huge turning point in the prank game.
I would say, well, before Bam and his crew or friends or whatever you want to call them did Jackass, they did CKY videos. Did you ever see any of those?
I don't think so.
A lot of the CKY stuff was part of the original TV series.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
The Jackass TV series, I should say. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and I bring all this up because there was recently a news story, which actually maybe you can go ahead. You can play that clip and then we'll talk about it after. I don't know how long that is though.
Tonight, Fox 5 has obtained never-before footage of a YouTube prank that ended with a shooting. A Loudoun County jury found Alan Coley not guilty of the most serious charge connected to the shooting at Dulles Town Center. David Kaplan's working this one tonight. You got your hands on the video. What happened here?
Yeah, Jim, Tanner Cook's YouTube page has nearly 56,000 followers. Most videos show Cook going to public places and doing some sort of prank that people typically have negative reactions to. We're going to walk you through this video without audio first, then we'll play the whole thing for you. On April 2nd at Dulles Town Center, Cook was being filmed as part of his YouTube page as he walked up to Kali, who was picking up a food delivery. On Cook's phone, he had an automated voice play a vulgar message that was repeated multiple times to Kali, who tells him to get away or he'll call the police, is what it appears to say in the video. Kali tries walking away. Cook appears to follow. Then the lone shot rings out. Here's the full video.
What?
Hey, quit thinking about my twinkle.
What's that mean?
Hey, quit thinking about my twinkle.
No.
Hey, quit thinking about my.
Get on my face and call cops on me. Stop.
Hey, quit thinking about my twinkle.
Stop.
Yeah, you can stop it there.
Okay.
Kali?
Yeah,
I already know this is a situation that would upset me
yeah, yeah,
because he tried to get away several times.
yeah. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. Which I definitely on the side of the, the guy whose the prank is being played on, because I get it that now a lot of these pranks are like kind of pushing the boundary, and like
Yeah,
really
they're trying to get likes and clicks and stuff.
yeah, and they're really like invading people's personal space and just kind of pushing it too far.
Yeah.
So I mean, you can't really condone like the gun use, but like you get it. And like it said in the news clip, like it went to court and like he was found not guilty.
Yeah, the part we froze on, it says man who shot YouTuber found not guilty.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
see, the thing is like, well, I don't want to go too far into this, but did he feel threatened? Is
Yeah.
that okay?
yeah, yeah. And then I mean, there was some argument when the court case first started that because of the prank, like they couldn't understand him feeling threatened, but like it ended up coming out that way where
I think the days of just going out in public and doing stuff like this, you're right. It has escalated, and I think it has gone too far. And people are doing it for just sheer shock value, looking to upset someone and get them to freak out so then they can get clicks.
Yeah.
And I think it should just all stop.
yeah. So
I'm not a fan at all, and I really hate when, like right here, it looks like they're messing with. Is that guy a delivery driver or
Yeah.
what? Okay, there's a lot of messing with service workers.
yeah,
I've seen things in like grocery stores and stuff like that, and I just think, those people don't make very much, and they already have to deal with a ton of crap.
Yeah.
And then you're gonna go into a grocery store and make a big mess for them to clean up,
Oh,
so
yeah.
that you can get TikTok views. And I just think, don't do that.
yeah.
Don't.
Yeah. 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 It's getting a little crazy. Like I've seen some where, kids are in the grocery store and they're like grabbing milk and they act like they're slipping on the floor and they like toss the milk up in the air so it smashes on the ground, and like,
Yeah,
Like-
I've seen them. They take like a 2 liter of some type of cola,
yeah.
and they shake it up, and then they throw it against the ground so it explodes and then
Yeah.
flies off.
Yeah.
And I just think, dude,
Yeah.
you know what? No. And in fact, whenever I see that stuff, especially like on YouTube, you can go in, you can click the little 3 line
yeah.
thing, get the menu, and you can go, don't recommend this channel ever again.
Yeah.
Because I just think, no, I don't ever want to see this again.
Yeah. I saw another prank video, which I'm not sure. I know some of them are probably staged. They're probably,
I'd say quite a few of them. are,
yeah. They're not a true prank. It's just whatever. But
which I'm fine with that.
yeah.
If everyone's in on the joke.
Yeah. Yeah. So I saw one where there was a guy, he was like sleeping on the couch and I think it was his wife maybe, like went up to him and used like a razor and he had a huge beard. He was sleeping on the couch and she like went up, like quietly and then like shaved part of his beard off,
Okay.
you know?
That better have been staged.
Yeah,
Because if
oh.
I woke up like that,
Yeah.
when I was younger, I lived with friends and things like that. And there was an area that I lived in where there was a bunch of us within like one house away. There was like 2 people in my house and 3 people next door and 3 people across the street. And a little prank war erupted. And I just full on made it very clear to everyone, I'm not involved in this.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it. And if anyone screws with me, I'm not going to laugh it off.
Yeah.
I'm going to be upset.
Yeah.
And so people were like, fine, leave him alone. And I'm like, Good, because it got bad. There was one where one of my neighbors was a, we didn't have any money, so there wasn't like air conditioning or anything in these houses that we were renting. So people in the warm summer night, they'd have their window open. Well, one of my other friends went in the house earlier in the day when they were all hanging out and pretended like he was going to go to the bathroom. Went in his bedroom and unlocked the screen. So then later on that night, while my one friend was sleeping in his bedroom, the other one snuck over there, slowly moved the screen up, and just fed the garden hose into his bed and turned it on.
Oh, no way.
And when I heard about that, my initial reaction was, then I thought, anybody does that to me, I'm going to be seriously ticked off.
Yeah.
Do not do that. Because how long is it going to take for you to get water out of your mattress?
Yeah, seriously. Damn, see, that's crazy. Yeah. I'm lucky I was never like, I mean, I wasn't involved in any like pranks like that, or, maybe some of the people around me, but yeah, I was never like in the prank game.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, you see them so much. Like there was even one where people are like, it seems pretty elaborate, and they're hiding out like either in like a hallway of a hotel or somewhere, and they like start walking out creepily as people are like going down the hallway. But see, and I'm hoping that those are staged, because now with like people kind of on alert and always having a firearm, like those things can go south real quick. If you're scaring somebody like in the hallway with a mask and acting creepy.
This is going to be an old guy stance, but I'm going to say that it used to be appropriate and is no longer appropriate.
Yeah.
I mean, just even like I have friends and relatives, and well, I mean, you who have children, and we talk about sometimes like schools and things like that. And there's a whole nother level of security that was not there when we were kids. Yeah. And I don't necessarily think it was maybe needed when we were kids, because just stuff like that didn't happen. But the world is different.
Yeah.
And if somebody was doing something around me, I might think it's real.
Yeah.
And react accordingly. And that could be bad for everyone.
Yeah.
And so I mean, when we were little kids, there wasn't stories of like really horrible things happening.
Yeah.
And so people would probably laugh it off. But you're right.
Yeah.
I think now people might take it to a very dangerous level.
Yeah. Yeah. Be safe out there with the pranks, people.
Yeah. Or just don't do them.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've kind of been doing some smaller things during our podcast. And I thought today it might be fun to ask you a couple riddles to see how you do. Okay. So I've got two of them here. What has hands, a face, but can't hold anything or smile? What has hands and a face?
A watch, a clock.
It's a clock.
Okay.
Yes. Okay.
Nice.
I wasn't sure if these were too like dad jokey or okay.
Yeah.
How about this one? What can go through glass without breaking it?
Let me see. I think I can get this one. Sunlight.
It's light.
Nice.
Okay. Very good. Very good.
Okay. Well, listen, I've got a joke for you. Okay.
All right.
Not a riddle. It's just a dad joke.
Okay. Good.
Okay.
Good.
Okay. How come you can't play basketball in the jungle?
I don't know. How come you can't play basketball in the jungle?
Because there's too many cheetahs.
Okay. That's it's definitely a dad joke. That's a good one. All right. So like I was saying before, we kind of have a little bit of a theme on this one. This podcast, I should say.
Yeah.
I already kind of talked about like what's in my feed and how I wouldn't have been shocked if you would have said, no, I don't get jokey videos like that. But I also wouldn't be shocked if you said you did, because we're similar people. And the whole feed is supposed to tailor things to us. They want us to watch and be locked in. And the way that they do that is they feed things that they think we want to see. But with that being said, I feel as if it creates a dangerous situation where you can fall down a rabbit hole where all of your social media thinks that it's feeding you something that you want to see, and you probably do want to see it. But maybe if it's a more of a radical idea or a conspiracy or something like that, if everybody is saying the same thing, you might start believing it.
Yeah.
And one of the terms I've heard a lot online recently is red pill content. And you know, that comes from, what is it? The Matrix.
Yeah.
You take the blue pill,
Yeah. Yeah.
you can stay in your fantasy world,
Yeah.
and it'll just be life as normal. Or you can take the red pill and see the world for how it really is. But the issue is every time I hear red pill online, I think, here's another weird, quirky conspiracy or unpopular view, which I don't agree with any of it. I don't think any of it's the real world. I think that is the fantasy world.
Yeah.
And we've discussed this a little bit before with like conspiracy theories and anti-vaxxers. And we definitely have talked a lot about flat Earth, and we even got to have some discussions in the comments about flat Earth with some who I think were genuine flat earthers, because they really believed it. But the other thing I'm seeing online recently is this kind of like misogynistic content. The one name that keeps coming to mind is Andrew Tate. And it seems to really appeal to like young boys.
Oh, yeah.
And then they get a view of the world that's not real. And then they start acting upon that because they believe it is real. And I'm just thinking, who's to blame for this? The red pill content. Is it the creators? Is it social media altogether? Is it the back end algorithms that continue to force feed this stuff to people because they think that that's what they want to see?
I mean, some of that stuff, I don't know. I'm sure that the creators, you know, it's probably two things. It's probably one that they are creating some content that's like hot content to, you know, like trigger people and to get people kind of riled up and upset about it.
Yeah, and that tends to directly correlate to clicks and views.
Yeah.
But who's to blame for that?
Yeah. And then and I don't know, because you can't necessarily blame like the algorithm or the app, because it starts with the creation of it.
And the other thing is that these aren't necessarily new ideas. So they didn't all just come into light when we had social media. A lot of these are very old ideas.
Yeah.
I think the deal is that they didn't really go farther than your friend circle, and now they're being spread to strangers.
Yeah.
And so I feel as if they're a lot more likely to get spread in our society today than before. And that's why I'm bringing it up, because I think it kind of screws up society if there's a whole bunch of misinformation out there and there are hardcore people that are really believing in it and recruiting others.
It does. And the problem is that there's so much misinformation out there that it's difficult to control. You know, I mentioned to you before that, you know, like in the beginning of not the beginning of the internet, but, you know, there was a time where you could basically put out any content that you want, you know, and it'd show up on like a Google search, and you could just make up something and your result would be found. And people would really have to decipher, which at the time they might not have known, like that the article was full of misinformation and people were running with that. But now, you know, you have to like really scrutinize the stuff that you're hearing and that you're reading, because it could be misinformation.
And I would say some of the platforms now, not all of them, but a good portion of them, are putting in place some level of safeguards to try to slow this down, or at least warn people that's what they're looking at. Plenty of even topics we've brought up, you know, like I said, flat Earth before. All of our flat Earth videos were accompanied by a warning from YouTube saying that it's not real.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm sure to the red pill content creators, they're like, no, that's just because they want to keep it secret or whatever
Right.
for some weird, bizarre, not real reason.
Yeah.
But at least they're trying, because
Yeah.
it's bad for society just to pump a bunch of crap into
Yeah.
it.
You know what's bad is that like you can't hijack the red pill theory, because like if you look at the Matrix movie, like what he was actually saying was he was genuinely being like red pilled. He was being shown the truth. Like living in the Matrix is the false reality. And he was unplugging Neo so he could see what the real world looked
Yeah,
like.
no, I think that's what these people are
Yeah.
thinking that they're doing.
Yeah, but which I guess they're thinking that, but like,
But they're not
Yeah,
doing
they're
it,
not.
yeah.
They're not. They're continually to stay in the Matrix because they're just making up another version of some false reality. And
Yeah, because it wasn't in the movie. The red pill was actually just a tracer program.
Yeah.
So they could find what pod he was in to release him.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. It's difficult because it's the problem is that we all have our own opinions. We have our own views.
And I think the problem is that these algorithms feed into that.
Mm-hmm.
So people aren't necessarily going out and looking for the truth. They're comfortable with going along with something that agrees with them or agrees with their views. And I think that's dangerous, just because you have a view doesn't mean it's correct.
Yeah,
And maybe sometimes it should be challenged with actual proof and facts. And I think in the way that our society works now, that's less likely to happen. It's not unlikely, but you kind of have to go out of your way to do that,
yeah,
which stinks.
right, for sure.
All right, you were talking, you were saying off camera that you wanted to, you've got a story about, is it names?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There was this story in Australia where there was a journalist. So her and her husband, got pregnant, and they were having their third child.
What? How'd that happen?
Yeah. And so just as a experiment, they wanted to see like what names kind of would get flagged to not be approved for a baby's name, right?
Oh, so they're running an experiment with their kid.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I guess their kid's name,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Yeah. They didn't think that this would actually happen, but so they named their child Methamphetamine Rules. Okay.
I mean, it's funny and it's also terrible.
Yeah. Yeah. And they did this thinking like there's no way that, this name, because even like they didn't think of a more tame name that would like, they thought of this name because they're like, there's definitely going to get rejected. Like somebody's going to see this and then we'll see the process for like, how the name gets rejected and all that. Well, somehow this slipped through the cracks.
Okay. So
Okay.
now that's the child's
That is
name.
the child's name. Right.
But they can, are the parents going to change it?
Yeah, they're gonna change it. However, in Australia, like there's like that's always gonna be the name. They can change it, but there's always gonna be a record that was the child's given name.
Like a paper trail.
Right,
So they may have like on some important documents, like an alias
right,
for the rest of their
yeah
life.
for the rest of their life. Yeah, yeah. Even
Okay,
if they
that
change-
is I would be so ticked off at my parents if they did something
Yeah.
like that. I go to buy a house or something and get a loan,
yeah,
and then I got to explain how my what was it? The name was Methamphetamine Rules.
yeah, yeah, yeah. They didn't think that, it would have got noticed, but it didn't. And so this got me thinking, because there was another story a few years ago, and there was a woman, her daughter, I don't know how old her daughter was, maybe 5 at the time, but they were going through the airport. I think this was in like Los Angeles. I think they were going from like California to Arizona, whatever. But the mother was there with her daughter, and they're going through like security checkpoints, and the agent happened to look at the ID or the tickets, and started laughing hysterically at the child's name, and the girl's name was Absidy, but it was spelled ABCDE. And looking at it, you're like, you may not understand the pronunciation, but you're looking like, how are you going to name a child ABCDE?
Yeah, and the issue with that is it's probably not going to be the only run-in with somebody who's going to chuckle about it.
Yeah,
Because maybe they thought it was a typo or something.
Right. Yeah. And
Was it a certain like culture or ethnicity is that a normal name?
no, so what's funny is that
Or was that a very unique name? I'm a little confused where that came from.
so the name actually has been used like 400 times. Like so in like the database of names, it's a girl's name and it's been used 400 times. So
And how do you pronounce it again?
Absidy. I don't know. I feel like a person you would have to understand that you're gonna run into some issues naming this that
Yeah, I've got a friend that I used to work with, and he has several kids. He actually has 5 kids. And I remember when his last two, his 2 youngest, I was talking to him about naming and things like that. And I'm like, where are you guys coming up with this? Is it like friends or do you have like baby books with baby names in them and you guys just talk about it? And he said the only real criteria that they have is he's thinking of his children's future and he wants it to look good on a resume. And I was like, okay, so no weird stuff. And he's like, no.
Yeah.
And so when you're telling me these names, I'm just thinking, how's that going to look later on in life when they go to like get a job or something?
Yeah.
If somebody at, the TSA was laughing, that can't be good.
Yeah.
Like, why not give them a leg up instead of like a half step backwards?
Yeah. And I feel like there are some parents out there who like try to be thoughtful when naming their child and they'll look, more to the meaning of the name.
Yeah, I can see that.
But there are some times where it's parents are being totally selfish and it's like whatever name they think is cool or like I think there's some celebrity who named their child Apple. Was it Bruce Willis? I can't remember, or Gwyneth Paltrow.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, but anyway, but like
Okay.
the child's name was Apple and whatever, maybe that's cute. It's just it's different.
What were Frank Zappa's kids' names? I should have looked this up before.
And then which I guess is not a strange name, but didn't George Foreman like name all his kids George?
Well, they're all derivatives of
Yeah.
that. Yeah. Okay. So Frank Zappa's kids' names is one of them is Moonlander Zappa.
Mm-hmm.
One of them is Dweezil.
Yeah.
One of them's Diva, and then the other one is. Oh, I can't read that. Ahmet.
Ahmet, yeah.
Okay, well that one
Yeah.
that seems like the most normal. The Moonlander
Yeah.
one that was a little weird, and Dweezil definitely original. I've never heard Dweezil before.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. So
Or Diva. That
Yeah.
see that might have a problem on a resume. I don't know.
yeah.
But you're also Frank Zappa's kid, so
Yeah.
they're probably like
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, Frank.
Yeah. There's a lot of unique names out there and I don't know. I feel like sometimes I don't know, I have a unique name. So it's mine's Arabic in origin. But
Yeah, I mean, we know each other because I know your wife,
yeah.
and I have to remember to say that because that just recently happened.
Yeah.
But that's how we met. And when I first heard your name, I was like, "Oh, are they from the Middle East?"
Yeah.
And she's like, "No," and
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, but
Yeah. Yeah.
every time I've heard that name before,
Mhm.
well,
Yeah. Yeah. And then my name it's more so for the meaning.
mhm.
But I don't know. Some people don't have that luxury. Their name is just they're just named something that sounded that their parents were like, I'm just gonna pick that one because it sounds,
We were talking a little off camera about names that we would find normal for us, like names we grew up with. Our
Yeah.
friends and family has these names.
yeah.
And I'll say, and maybe this is an old guy stance, but I feel as if some of the newer names are kind of weird. Like, I have a relative named after a street.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, that's kind of borderline.
Yeah.
But I also have, it's like a relative of my relative, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
And their name I remember years ago when we first heard it,
Yeah.
we thought that kind of sounds like a pet name,
Yeah.
like a name you might give a dog.
Right.
You know, like you would never name your kid Fido.
Yeah.
Now that's not their name, and I'm obviously not saying it for a reason.
Yeah.
But it's kind of down that street, and I just thought, what are you doing?
Yeah. You know, I knew someone. I went to school with someone named Maine.
Okay.
You know, and you know, which is different.
It's different, but it's more acceptable. Like the one that I know is like a street name. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
that could be a person's name.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. What about let's see. Like usually like last names like Anderson.
like a first name is
Yeah,
Anderson.
Yeah.
Well, that one makes sense to me, but that's a little bit of an older name.
Oh, okay. What about like Jameson?
Okay,
You know?
that's getting into the weirder realm.
Yeah.
Just because
Yeah.
I know people that have been named like, or in fact, you even said, didn't you know somebody named Hennessy or something? And
Yeah.
I know somebody named Bailey, and
Yeah.
and I just
Yeah.
think, are you guys just
Yeah.
picking alcohol names now? I don't know. It
Yeah.
just, but I think the times have changed and trends have changed,
Yeah.
and we're just two old guys that are like,
Yeah.
back in my day.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, there's like, you know, nothing wrong with it. I mean, you know, you can, I mean, I guess for all intents and purposes, you can name your child whatever you want, but
Sure.
you know, it just, you know, yeah.
But I thought my one friend that was like, I want to know how it's going to look on a resume.
Yeah, true.
I thought, man, this is a good dad right here. He's got his kid's future in mind.
Yeah, but we can't.
Because sometimes, you know, like I was telling you, I saw a study where there was like 4,000 different spellings. Or no. It was 4,000 people in this community that had the name Unique, and it had like 100 different spellings or something like that.
Yeah.
Which was making it one of the most uniquely spelled names. And it was all like a joke and a joke. But I was just like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
Now they've got to write down Unique
Yeah.
on their resume or job application.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. It's interesting, you know.
It is.
You know, just a fun topic, you know, because we'll always find you know, interesting names out there, and you know, people find a way to cope with it.
Okay, so keeping with our theme today, or my theme, at least that's what I keep bringing up, social media. So I talked a little bit before about like what's in your feed, and I showed you that video, you know, steak being cut, which is making me hungry right now. But past that, then we talked a little bit about red pilling stuff, or red pill content, I should call it, and the fact that like people are so adamant that this is real and this is the truth and this is the real world. And I think it's just because at a certain point they're just like drinking from a fire hose of misinformation.
Yeah.
But beyond that, there's definitely many situations where it spills over into the real world, and it's not just people doing things behind their screens and just being you know, an anonymous person. But I was reading some statistics online, and there was 5,981 reports of unruly passengers logged by the FAA in 2021. Now, the deal with that is like it was right after the pandemic, all the shutdowns,
Right.
and there was a lot of mask requirements, and people were just pitching a fit about that. But they were also having an argument with people who were the authority, you know, either the airlines or the police or whoever, and they were arguing with them on how they were wrong and they didn't know anything and that they had the truth and that they didn't need to do all of these things, and that there was a lot of comparisons of like the Nazis and things like that, which I thought was taking it too far, but then also, you know, claiming that this is a free country and they should be able to do whatever they want to do, which isn't true. There are plenty of things that we can't do because it's dangerous.
Yeah.
What I found kind of screwed up was they had talked about how in this page I was reading that from 1995 to 2020, they weren't really logging every unruly passenger. What they were doing is the FAA was only making a log is if the incident got kicked up to an investigation, as if you had done something illegal on an airplane and they needed to look into it further. And they said the average investigations between 1995 and 2020 was 182 investigations per year on average. Now, in 2021, there was 1,081 investigations.
Damn.
Yeah,
That's a
so it was a
huge jump.
494% jump. and the deal is like, well, one, we were just getting out of the pandemic. And then on top of that, there was a lot of mask mandates and stuff. And I understand that not everyone was on board with that. But beyond that, I'm wondering if some of this social media stuff is feeding into it where people think, like we did one where a podcast where we talked about body cams, police body cams. And I know anytime I'm watching one of those, when I hear someone go, I know my rights, 99% of the time they don't. And this video is about to get really good.
Yeah.
Which maybe I shouldn't be laughing about this because a lot of these people just go to jail. But the thing is why do they think all of these things are rights when they're obviously not? Like I remember one time I watched somebody got pulled over for going like 25 over the speed limit. Then when they roll down the window, the police officer can clearly, they can smell alcohol on them. So they're like, please step out of the car. And the person goes, no, I don't have to.
Yeah.
And I think, what? And then they go, I know my rights. I don't have to get out. You do.
Yeah.
I don't know any state that is not legal.
Yeah.
Now, there are things that you can request, like if you want to request, another officer to be there because maybe it's some unique situation.
Yeah.
Okay, there are loopholes to this, but I think people watch things online and other people are feeding them misinformation, and this whole social media algorithm is pushing to that and just feeding them more and more, and they think this is how I'm allowed to act.
Yeah. Okay, so there was something I was just thinking about. I didn't think about this before. But so I think that one thing that could clear a lot of this up is like hearing something directly from the source, So if and then I guess the second part would be like if it's multiple sources, then it has to be somehow consistent. And what I'm saying is so say for instance, like with the police, so say somebody gets pulled over in Connecticut and the officer can smell alcohol and request him to get out the car. And then they're like, I know my rights. I don't have to get out the car. Well, maybe that is true in Connecticut. Maybe you don't have to. But somebody in another state, like in Kansas, may see that video, and then maybe Kansas law is different. So the problem is there is misinformation out there, but hearing it from the source. So if police can come out and say, in this area, I don't know. I mean, you can't.
Well, I've seen police argue with sovereign citizens before, and they're like, listen, you need to get out of the car. And they're like, actually, I don't because of this law. And I have seen sometimes where the police will go back to the car and they'll print out the law that they are referring to. And they're like, you do because of this.
Right.
And I thought, wow, that's going above and beyond.
Yeah.
But I will also say the one reason I'm allowed or I'm even able to see these is because police are wearing body cams and they have dash cams and they have cams in the back of their cruisers and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that lends a lot of transparency to the entire situation. So I'm happy about all of that. But I also feel like when these people are getting misinformation, it's so much easier to look up like the sovereign citizen stuff.
Yeah.
There were several people in the comments that had a bunch of comments about sovereign citizens, and they were saying, no, this is real. And, I had a court case and I went pro se and the police were really just harassing me and they were doing something against the law. But then go online and look this up. There are so many cases where people claim to be sovereign citizens and they never win. Or if you think the police are doing something that they shouldn't be doing and you think that you know the law better, the issue is they're probably being recorded from like 6 different cameras, and they know that. So it's in their benefit to go by the book.
Well,
Because later on, when somebody else complains,
yeah,
they're going to pull up all that footage and they're going to go over it.
yeah. Well, I don't know. Some of that's debatable. You know, I don't know. We talked about that before or whatever.
We
but,
did.
And some of it's there are some officers who are doing the right thing, and but there's some people who will be getting off on that power dynamic, and as soon as you challenge them, then they, will maybe, I don't know, get hostile or whatever, because maybe the driver of the car does know their rights and does know like the exact statute where it's like, no, I don't have to get out the car because this, the statute states this, and this is the reason I don't have to get out of the car. And officers just kind of jumping some steps.
I will say though, going forward, especially with all of these cameras and things, we're getting a little off topic here,
Yeah,
but if somebody makes a complaint and they go to the footage and the footage clearly shows it, then of course they're going to get in trouble. But if the footage doesn't exist, I think they're getting in trouble too.
Yeah.
Because then it's, why doesn't it exist?
Yeah.
Now I'm more apt to believe the person you pulled over, because why wouldn't you have any of these cameras turned on?
Right. Yeah.
And I've even seen situations where somebody arrested somebody, and then they slipped out of custody. The deal was that they were handcuffed, and they slipped their handcuffs, and then they were saying how the handcuffs were. Oh no! They said it was very hot back there because they rolled the window down a little bit, and when the police officer pulled up to a stop sign to stop the intersection, the person dipped out the window.
Oh.
And then he chased her down and then called for backup. And when the backup got there, he's like, I was in the car. I thought we were just driving to the station. Of course, the cameras in the car were on. I didn't have my body cam on because when she ducked out of the car, I just threw it in park and ran after her. And then he's like, once he tackled her and put handcuffs back on, he turned the body cam on right away. But he was looking at the other police officer like, what do I do?
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know that she slipped the cuffs. Like, I didn't know.
Yeah.
But back to social media for a second here. I'm wondering if people, like there's always going to be people throughout time that just commit crimes, that or that they believe things that society doesn't normally go along with, or they believe misinformation or whatever. There's a reason for it. But I'm wondering if that small community has been growing, especially because you see real tribalism inside of our country when we're talking about politics or personal beliefs. It feels like there's a line drawn in the sand and everyone's choosing which side.
Yeah.
And I've always felt like somebody who stands in the middle, and now I'm almost getting crap for standing in the middle. Like, I'll hear some people go, well, you don't believe in this, this, and this. And I'm like, well, I believe in the two things, but the third thing, I think, it's a gray area.
Yeah.
And they're just like, I don't understand how you could do that. And I'm like, whoa,
Yeah.
what is going on?
Yeah. And I wonder if even though it could be a byproduct of too much information, can kind of contribute to some misinformation, like, maybe we shouldn't have access to all this body cam footage because it's kind of distorting everyone's views, even though it's there to like create some transparency, but everyone's got their own take on it, and then everyone's gonna run with it. One person's gonna see it one way, and then who knows, maybe they post something online, and then there's people who agree with them, and then someone sees it another way, and then they post something.
Well, I will tell you, one of the channels that I watch is Code Blue Cam. And many times I've heard people that have gotten arrested and they've said, oh, I'm a Code Blue Cam star. So they have been on someone's body cam before.
Yeah.
And he said, is this going to go on Code Blue Cam? And they go, that's not controlled by us. That's a third party that's requesting these videos, and then we're putting them out. And he said, oh, so you guys can't stop it? He goes, no. And then he asked for a favor from the police officer, and the police officer said, "My hands are tied. At this point, I've got to do everything exactly by the book." And I think part of the reason why they were taking that view, I mean, maybe they were just a good cop. I don't know. But if I was them, I would be like, no bending the rules, nothing, because this is going to go all over the internet.
Yeah.
And it's not only going to get dissected by like my superiors and things like that, but then just the community at whole. So
Right.
I would just be like, I'm doing exactly what the book says.
Yeah.
Because you could be doing your job and cut somebody a break, and then the internet doesn't agree with it, and then you're getting slammed on the evening news.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah.
because it used to be back in the day, at least when we were younger, that sometimes they would be like, okay, listen, you broke the law, but you don't have any prior records or anything. Just get out of here.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, did it ever happen to you? You ever been pulled over and they're just like, we're just going to give you a warning?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had one time I was going 10 over, was in the 35 mile per hour zone, I was going 45. Police officer pulled me over. I had my uniform on. I worked for a retail store, and I just quickly was like, it's 5 to 8. I'm supposed to be at the store.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just right over there. It was like, literally like a minute away. And I'm like, I was late before. My boss told me I can't be late. And I'm just like in a hurry. I'm so sorry. And he goes, get out of here. And he goes, go.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa. So then I kind of sped away.
Yeah.
And he jumped in his car and followed me all the way over to the store. And as I got out, I waved at him as I walked in. And people up front in the store were like, you just get a police escort? I'm like, no, he was following me. He goes, well, you're supposed to pull over when the police. And I was like,
Yeah.
no, but okay, we're talking about cops again.
Okay, yeah.
So back to this social media, because it has gotten so bad that I was talking about all the incidents with unruly passengers.
Yeah.
That the FAA actually has and how do they say this? They've got a law or a rule now where any passenger who is convicted of assault or threatens or intimidates or interferes with airline crew members can be hit with civil penalties up to $37,000.
Damn.
So if you screw around with the flight crew and the FAA is like, you stepped way over the line, even though, I mean, the FAA is kind of a weird thing. They can't, they're not the police.
Yeah.
But they're like, oh, well, we're going to sue you in civil court for $37,000. And I kind of hope, I mean, I already know that they've hit a bunch of people with this, but I kind of hope the word gets out there. Like, it's not just like, oh, you might spend the night in jail. Oh, you might not make your flight.
Yeah.
You might also get hit with $37,000 worth of a lawsuit. And hopefully that deters some of these, because we've all seen these videos of like, everyone's going on vacation, and then somebody just flips out, and you think, why? You can clearly see everyone else whips out their phones. And the deal with that is because they're kind of all shocked, like, oh, we got a Karen.
Right.
But why does this Karen think that this behavior is acceptable? And I'm partially blaming social media.
Yeah.
Because we're all in our little silos or rabbit holes or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, especially around that time, like when it was just coming out of COVID, maybe there was still some mask mandates or whatever. And, you know, people definitely had their thoughts and their views on the mask and what it'll do to you if you're wearing it. So I could see why that was a huge uptick in unruly passengers. But
yeah, but it still seems to be happening. Now, I got the statistics for last year, and it's come down 50% from the year before. I think 2021 was the worst.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like, if we were to both do, and we should have done this beforehand, a search for something. Like, you have a computer right there.
Yeah.
I guess let's just do this live. So, or not live, because this isn't live. I'm going to be editing it later on this week. Let's both search for the exact same thing and see what comes up. So, like, what could it be? Could it be airline rules? You think that's a good one?
Yeah, that works.
Okay. And I'm going to type it just like that.
Okay. Oops, it would help if I spelled it right.
Yes, it will. Whoa, what are you typing? It should
Sorry.
just be the word airline and then rules and
Yeah,
then you
yeah,
hit enter.
yeah. Listen, I just had a moment there. It's okay. I'm done.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is the very first thing that comes up on
Okay.
Google?
What can I bring from the Transportation Security Administration? You got that?
Okay, yeah, .gov. That, and I got that.
Okay.
But now that's at the top of the list, so I'm almost worried that was put there on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then I have some people that also ask things, right?
Yeah.
So I've got a what cannot be in a carry-on bag? Is that what you have as the first thing that people also asked?
No, but I see that here.
Well, what is your first thing?
What needs to be taken out at TSA?
Oh, I don't have that. The second thing I have is what are the rules for flying on an airplane?
Okay, I got that there.
Okay. And then there's a couple other ones, but let's go to the next link.
Mm-hmm.
I also have another Transport Security Administration.gov travel checklist. Is that what you got for your second link?
I've got that 3 down.
Okay.
I have learn what I can bring on the plane.
From Department of Homeland Security?
Yeah,
That's your number 2?
that's my number 2.
That's my number 3.
And then I got fly rights from the Department of Transportation.
Okay, I did get that. That's number 4.
And
Now,
then my travel checklist.
okay. Now here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
We're both doing this from my house. So grain of salt. Also, that laptop is a laptop that I use sometimes.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I've contaminated it at all.
Yeah.
But the fact that they're not exactly identical means that they're tailoring for you and they're tailoring for me.
Yeah.
But again, like I said before, we also have similar interests.
Yeah.
So it's not that shocking.
Right.
But if you were like, I think the earth is flat and I'm a sovereign citizen and blah, 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 10 other things.
Yeah.
And we didn't pick something as easy as airplane rules.
Yeah.
It might be really crazy. Like
Yeah.
if you wrote like, if we just clicked on our news pages, they'd probably be completely
Yeah,
different.
for sure. Yeah.
And I'm thinking that's kind of dangerous.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it should be uniform, because that could help, stop spreading disinformation.
But the problem is that different people are unique and they want different things when they say different things.
Yeah,
But the issue is that I feel like more people are listening to people who agree with them than actually looking for the honest facts.
yeah,
And I just find that dangerous. And I think it's kind of screwing up our society. But at the same time, I do like it when I type something in Google and within the first couple links, it's what I want.
right.
But the flip side of that,
Yeah,
I'm kind of upset about.
yeah, because someone else is is going to get what they want, which could not be looking for the truth. You're just looking for what they want.
I
to hear.
knew the world was flat.
Yeah,
And it's like,
yeah,
stop it.
yeah.
Okay. So that's all I had. And, I'd really like to see what you guys have in your feed. Maybe if you, or even if you do the exact same search, if you just type in airline rules, are you getting the same stuff that we got in the first couple links?
Yeah.
Or is yours completely different?
It'll be interesting to know.
Yeah, and also I said this in the last podcast. We're getting to the point where we're noticing how much YouTube is recommending us, and I always thought I wouldn't be one of those people, or I always thought it was funny when people on YouTube or social media would say, "Please like and subscribe," but most of our viewers aren't subscribed,
Yeah.
and it actually makes a huge difference to us. If you do, then the algorithm will let more people know about our content.
Yeah, yeah. So thanks for watching, and once again, don't forget to like and subscribe.